Why do you still feel so empty? You have read every book on your shelf. You have attended every major conference. But the fire inside is completely gone. You think you need more information. You actually need more intimacy. You are searching for a breakthrough. You are searching for a sign. You are searching for a secret. But God is not hiding a secret from you. He is waiting for you to stop running. The world tells you that the next seminar will fix it. The world says you just need one more powerful sermon. But heaven is whispering something different. You are not failing because you lack knowledge. You are empty because you have replaced a person with a program. Maybe you check your bookshelf and see a dozen titles on prayer, but you have not actually prayed in weeks. Maybe you scroll through your podcast history and see 1,000 sermons, but your soul feels as dry as a desert. Maybe you find yourself nodding in the pews. You wonder why everyone else seems to feel what you do not. Maybe you feel like a spiritual professional. You have forgotten how to be a spiritual child. Maybe you are tired of pretending that the next big speaker is the answer. This is a hard truth to hear, but it is the truth that will set you free. You have become a spiritual tourist. You travel from experience to experience. You collect notes and quotes, but you never actually unpack your bags. You stay for the feeling. You leave before the transformation. Jesus spoke to this exact kind of exhaustion. In Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28, he gives a very specific invitation. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Did you catch that? He did not say, "Come to a seminar." He did not say, "Come to a workshop." He did not offer you a syllabus. He offered you himself. The people Jesus was talking to were religious experts. They knew the laws. They knew the books. They did the work. But they were exhausted. They were carrying the weight of trying to reach God through their own effort. Sound familiar? You have been trying to study your way into a peace that only comes through surrender. You have been trying to work your way into a grace that can only be received. Think about the woman at the well. She was looking for something to fill her. She tried relationships. She tried tradition. She even tried to argue about the right place to worship. But Jesus did not give her a map to a better temple. He gave her living water. He shifted the focus from the where to the bind. Who? You have been focusing on the how. How do I pray better? How do I study more? How do I get closer? Today, we are going to change the question. We are going to look at the 7 truths that explain your emptiness. These truths will not give you more work to do. They will show you how to stop working and start walking. If you are tired of the search, then you are finally ready to find. Your heart is not empty because you are doing it wrong. Your heart is empty because it was made for more than information. It was made for Him. Number 1, your notebooks are full, but your prayer life is quiet. You have mistaken information for intimacy. Let's start with the truth. No one wants to say out loud. You are addicted to the hunt for new knowledge. You walk into the bookstore and head straight for the Christian Living section. You buy the latest study guide from the most popular teacher. You highlight the pages in yellow and green. You take 3 pages of notes at every church conference. You go home and put the notebook on the shelf with the others. Then you sit on your couch and realize you have nothing to say to God. You know His attributes. You can list His names in Hebrew, but you do not know the sound of his voice in the dark. Maybe that is you. You scroll through your social media feed. You save 10 posts with Bible verses. You feel like you have spent time with God because you saw his name. You buy the digital course on how to hear God's voice. You watch all 6 videos. You take the quiz at the end and get a perfect score. But that night, you lay in bed and feel completely alone. The information is in your head, but the presence is not in your room. You are like a person who has memorized a menu but has never tasted the food. You can describe the meal perfectly. You can tell me all the ingredients, but your soul is still starving. Think about how you prepare for your day. You put on your headphones. You listen to a worship song. You feel a chill on your arms, and you think that is intimacy. But as soon as the song ends, the feeling leaves. You go through your shift. You deal with the difficult boss. You handle the stress of the bills. And you never once think to talk to the Father. You have plenty of information about his peace. But you do not have the peace itself. You have become an expert in the mechanics of faith. You have lost the heartbeat of the Father. You are trying to build a fire with a textbook on wood. You can tell me the temperature it should be. You can tell me how long it should burn, but you are still shivering in the cold. In Matthew, chapter 7, verse 23, Jesus gives a sobering warning. He says he will tell some people, "I never knew you." Did you catch that? He does not say they did not know about him. He says there was no relationship. Look at the Pharisees. They were the religious professionals of their day. They knew the scrolls by heart. They could quote every line of the law. But when the living word stood right in front of them, they did not recognize him. They were experts in the text, but strangers to the person. Studying the Bible is essential, and books can be helpful tools. But tools are not the destination. Look at Nicodemus in the book of John. He was a master of Israel. He was a teacher of the law. He had spent his entire life in the study of God. He knew the history of every miracle. He knew the prophecy of every coming king. But he had to come to Jesus in the dark of night. He had to ask basic questions because his knowledge had not produced life. He was a professional in the religion, but a beginner in the spirit. You might be a leader in your church. You might be the person everyone asks for a verse. But inside, you are like Nicodemus. You are wondering why the things you know do not seem to change the way you feel. In the book of Job, chapter 42, verse 5, Job makes a massive discovery. After all, his suffering and all his theological debates, he says something profound. He says, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." Job was a righteous man. He knew the rules. He knew the doctrines. But before the storm, his knowledge was secondhand. He had heard the reports. He had read the reviews. It took a personal encounter in the whirlwind to move him from hearing to seeing. You are currently living on the reports of others. You are eating the leftovers of someone else's quiet time. It is the difference between a biography and a friendship. A biography tells you facts. A friendship gives you a future. You have become a scholar of the promise. But you have forgotten the one who made it. Number 2, your desk is covered in study guides, but your heart is avoiding a single command. You are trying to study your way out of a season that requires surrender. Let me say this straight. You are using your search for more depth as a way to hide from more obedience. You wake up and reach for the latest devotional. You read The 3-minute entry. You feel a small sense of accomplishment, but deep down, you know there is a conversation you are avoiding. There is a person you haven't forgiven. There is a habit you haven't laid down. You think that if you just read one more chapter on grace, the guilt will go away. You spend your lunch break listening to a podcast about finding your calling. You hope the speaker will give you a formula that feels safe. You are searching for an answer that fits your comfort zone. But God has already given you an answer that requires your courage. You close the book and feel just as heavy as when you started. You walk into your office and sit down. You have your coffee and your open Bible. You read a verse about loving your enemies. Immediately, a face comes to mind. It is that person who hurt you 3 years ago. You feel the knot in your stomach tighten. Instead of praying for them, you turn the page. You look for a verse about blessing and prosperity instead. You go to a church event that weekend. You hear a sermon on surrender. You feel the Holy Spirit tugging at your heart. But on the way home, you start a new audiobook. You use the voices of others to drown out the one voice that matters. You think that more words will eventually provide an escape from the one word you do not want to hear. Sound familiar? James chapter 1 verse 22 says, "Be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves." Did you catch that? The text says we can actually trick ourselves. We think that because we are consuming spiritual content, we are growing. We think that reading about holiness is the same thing as being holy. We are like a person who watches exercise videos while eating a bag of chips. We know the routine. We can explain the muscle groups, but nothing in our actual life has changed. We are just well-informed spectators. This is why you feel empty. You are accumulating weight without building strength. Look at Jonah. He did not need a Bible study. He did not need a conference on the geography of Nineveh. He was a prophet. He already knew the voice of God. He knew the command of God. He knew the character of God. His problem was not a lack of information. His problem was a lack of obedience. He went down to the port. He paid the fare. He went into the lower parts of the ship and fell asleep. He used sleep and distance to avoid his duty. Maybe you are doing the same thing. You are buying books on peace while you are running from a... Yes, you are looking for a scriptural loophole for a situation that only requires a surrender. Jonah found himself in the belly of a fish before he finally stopped fighting. He did not find a new book there. He found a place of total submission. Sometimes, God shuts every door and closes every book until you finally look up. He is not looking for a student of His word right now. He is looking for a servant of His will. You do not need another answer. You need to act on the one you already have. Good. Number 3. You have a collection of lanyards, but no scars of sacrifice. You have become a spiritual consumer instead of a kingdom servant. Let me say this straight. You are chasing the high of a crowded room because you cannot handle the weight of a quiet one. You spend hundreds of dollars on a ticket to the latest arena event. You stand in the front row with 10,000 other people. The bass from the speakers vibrates in your chest. The lights are bright and the energy is high. You raise your hands and you feel like you are part of something massive. You buy the t-shirt in the lobby. You take a photo of the stage for your social media. You write a caption about how you will never be the same again. But then Monday morning arrives. The alarm goes off. The house is messy. Your spouse is grumpy. The fire you felt on Saturday night is now just a cold pile of ash. You go to work and you are just as impatient as you were last week. You see the person you dislike and you feel the same bitterness. You realize that the change you felt was actually just an emotional peak. It was a spiritual souvenir. You are like a tourist who visits a holy site, buys a postcard, and goes home to the same life. You are addicted to the atmosphere of the mountain, but you refuse to walk through the valley of daily obedience. There is nothing wrong with attending a great event. There is nothing wrong with being encouraged by a crowd. But there is something wrong with needing a crowd to stay faithful. You have been there. You find yourself looking for the next event calendar before the current one even ends. You are constantly searching for a new experience to jumpstart your heart. You think you need a fresh touch. You actually need a consistent walk. You are looking for a feeling to sustain you. You should be looking for a master to lead you. The prophet Ezekiel dealt with this exact situation. In Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 32, God describes the people this way. He says, "To them, you are nothing more than one who sings love songs with a melodic voice and plays an instrument well. For they hear your words, but do not put them into practice." Did you catch that? They loved the performance. They loved the sound. They loved the feeling of the service. But their feet never moved. Their hands never helped. Their hearts never changed. They were fans of the message. They were not followers of the man. Think about the rich young ruler in Matthew chapter 19. He had done the work. He had kept the commandments since he was a boy. He was a good man. He was a religious man. But he wanted more. He came to Jesus, asking for the next level. He wanted the secret to eternal life. He was ready for a new teaching. He was ready for a new ritual. But Jesus did not give him a book. He did not give him a seminar. He gave him a command that touched the one thing he loved more than God. Jesus told him to sell everything he had and give to the poor. The young man did not need more information. He had the law. He had the tradition. He had the teacher standing right in front of him. But he walked away sad. Why? Because he wanted the status of a follower without the sacrifice of a disciple. He wanted to add Jesus to his collection of achievements. He did not want to lose his life to find it. You are doing the same thing. You are trying to add God to your life, like a decorative accessory. You are looking for a faith that fits your schedule. God is looking for a life that fits his purpose. You do not need another lanyard around your neck. You do not need another wristband from a weekend retreat. You need to take the things you heard 6 months ago and finally start doing them. You have enough notes. You have enough highlights. You have enough information. You have spent your life being a customer in the house of God. It is time to become a son or a daughter who actually works in the field. The crowd will eventually go home. The music will eventually stop. The lights will eventually fade. And when they do, all that will be left is the reality of your private devotion. Number 4, you are searching for a miracle to fix a life you haven't yet given to him. You want the power without the person. Here is what nobody tells you. You are looking for a spiritual shortcut. You attend the conference because you want a laying on of hands. You hope that one touch will erase years of neglect. You want a sudden miracle to fix your marriage, but you do not want to do the hard work of love. You want a financial breakthrough, but you refuse to be a good steward of what you have. You are looking for a magic prayer. You want it to solve the problems your own choices created. You feel empty because you are treating God like a vending machine. You put in your attendance. You expect a result. You walk down to the altar. At the end of the night, you are crying. You are desperate for a change. You tell the person praying for you that you are stuck. They pray a beautiful prayer. You feel a sense of relief for 20 minutes. But you go home to the same habits. You go back to the same secret sins. You wake up on Monday, and the breakthrough is gone. You feel cheated. You think the preacher was a fraud, or you think God is ignoring you. But the truth is simpler. You wanted God to fix your situation. You did not want Him to change your soul. You are seeking the hand of God, but you are avoiding His face. You have been there. You have a shelf full of books on finding your purpose. You have watched every video on unlocking your destiny. But you haven't yet said, "Thy will be done" to your Tuesday morning. You want the high of the supernatural. You don't want the discipline of the natural. You are looking for an experience to bypass your responsibility. There is nothing wrong with praying for a miracle. But a miracle is not a substitute for a relationship. Acts chapter 8, verse 21 speaks to this heart posture. Peter tells a man named Simon, "You have no part or share in this ministry." Why? Because his heart was not right before God. Did you catch that? Simon was a man who saw the power of the Holy Spirit. He was impressed by the miracles. He had been to the meetings. He had seen the people healed. He even believed and was baptized. But he tried to buy the gift of God with money. He wanted the influence and the power. But he didn't want the transformation of the heart. He wanted to add the power of the male spirit to his own life. He didn't want the Spirit to take over his life. Look at the crowds in John chapter 6. They followed Jesus across the sea. They had seen him feed 5,000 people with a few fish. They were excited. They were ready to make him king. They wanted another miracle. They wanted more bread. But Jesus looked at them and saw their hearts. He told them they weren't seeking him. They were seeking the food. He offered them the bread of life. He offered them himself. But when the message got hard, the crowd left. They wanted the lunch. They did not want the Lord. You are currently in that crowd. You are waiting for the next sign. You are waiting for the next wonder. You think that if God just does one big thing, you will be fine. But God is not a magician. He is a father. He is not interested in entertaining you with a miracle. He is interested in inhabiting you with his presence. You do not need a breakthrough. You need a breakdown. You need to stop asking him for things. You need to start giving him yourself. It was not a lack of power. It was a lack of posture. Number 5. The noise of the sanctuary has replaced the silence of the secret place. You are using the crowd to avoid the Creator. Let's be honest. You are terrified of being alone with God. You love the feeling of a packed room. You love the energy of the worship band. When the music starts, you feel close to heaven. But the moment you step outside, that feeling evaporates. You walk to your car and immediately put on a podcast. You get home and turn on the television. You check your phone while you are eating dinner. You have built a life of constant spiritual noise. You tell yourself that you are soaking in the Word. You think that more content means more growth. But the truth is much darker. You are using the voices of others to drown out the voice of God. You are afraid of what He might say if everything went quiet. You are hiding in the sanctuary. Sound familiar? You have a prayer group on Tuesday. You have a Bible study on Wednesday. You have the main service on Sunday. Your calendar is full of God things. But when was the last time you sat in a chair with no music, no phone, no notebook, just you and the Father? You find that thought deeply uncomfortable. You feel like you are failing if you aren't learning. But you cannot hear a whisper in a thunderstorm. You listen to others talk about God, but you do not hear Him for yourself. You are so busy gathering information that you have no time for revelation. You are a professional student of the light who is afraid of the quiet. This does not mean your church is bad. It does not mean podcasts are wrong. It means they are not a substitute for the secret place. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, Jesus gives a very specific instruction. He says, "When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father." Did you catch that? He did not say, "Go to the arena." He did not say, "Find a bigger crowd." He said to close the door. He was emphasizing the value of the hidden life. The depth of your public faith depends on the health of your private silence. If you only feel God when the band is playing, you aren't worshiping God. You are worshiping an atmosphere. The prophet Elijah understood this better than anyone. He was a man of massive public miracles. He stood on Mount Carmel and called down fire from heaven. He saw the power of God in a way few ever have. But after the big event, he was exhausted. He was empty. He ran to a mountain to find God. He waited for a sign. A great wind tore the mountains apart. But God was not in the wind. An earthquake shook the ground. But God was not in the earthquake. A fire swept through the area. But God was not in the fire. Elijah was looking for the spectacular. He was looking for the noise. But after the fire came a gentle whisper, a still, small voice. Elijah had to wrap his face in his cloak to hear it. He had to be completely still. He had to be alone. The message he needed didn't come in the roar of the crowd. It came in the quiet of the cave. You have been waiting for the wind. You have been waiting for the fire. But God is waiting for you to shut the door. He has a word for you, but He will not shout it over your headphones. The world is loud. The church can be loud. But the Spirit is often quiet. You think you are empty because God is silent. Maybe you are empty because you aren't listening. You have spent your life chasing the shout, but you have missed the whisper. You have built a library where God wanted to build a garden. A library is for study. A garden is for walking together. So the question is not why God stopped speaking. The question is why you are so afraid to listen. Number 6. Your mind is a museum of theology, but your heart is a graveyard of devotion. You have built a library where God wanted to build an altar. Here is what nobody tells you. You have turned the pursuit of God into an intellectual hobby. You take pride in how much you know. You love to correct people on their doctrine. You enjoy the feeling of being the smartest person in the Bible study. You can explain the difference between justification and sanctification. You can argue for hours about the end times. You have read the thickest books by the oldest authors. But all that information has done nothing to soften your spirit. It has only served to inflate your ego. You are more concerned with being right than being redeemed. You have gathered thousands of facts about the King, but you have never actually bowed your knee to Him. You have been there. You sit in a service, and instead of worshiping, you are grading the sermon. You are checking the preacher's Greek. You are looking for a flaw in the logic. You walk out of the building feeling superior because you noticed a mistake, but you missed the message. You have replaced the awe of God with the analysis of God. You are like a man who studies the chemistry of water while dying of thirst. You can explain the molecules. You can describe the flow. But your tongue is still parched. You are using knowledge as a shield to keep God at a distance. You think that if you can define him, you can control him. But God is not a subject to be mastered. He is a sovereign to be obeyed. In 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1, the text gives us a sharp warning. It says, "Knowledge puffs up, but love builds up." Did you catch that? Knowledge on its own is dangerous. It creates a false sense of spiritual height. It makes you feel like you are growing when you are actually just swelling. A balloon gets bigger, but it is only filled with air. A building gets bigger because it is filled with substance. You have been confusing your expansion with your maturity. You are top-heavy with information, but you are thin on transformation. You have enough light to see the path, but you do not have enough love to walk it. Think about King Solomon. He was the wisest man who ever lived. God gave him a mind that could understand the secrets of the infinite universe. He wrote 3,000 proverbs. He composed over 1,000 songs. He studied plants and animals and the stars. He built a magnificent library of wisdom. People traveled from all over the earth just to hear him speak. He had all the information a human being could ever want. But if you read the book of Ecclesiastes, you hear the voice of a man who was deeply empty. He had the wisdom of God in his head, but he allowed his heart to be turned by his own desires. Solomon discovered that knowledge without devotion is a dead end. He had the answers, but he lost the anchor. He ended his life realizing that all his books and all his wisdom were vanity. They were like chasing the wind. He had built a temple for God, but he had built altars for idols in his own heart. Maybe you have done the same. You have built a massive mental temple. It is beautiful. It is impressive. It is well organized. But there is no fire on the altar. There is no sacrifice of your own will. You are trying to find peace in a paragraph. You will only find it in a person. You don't need a new perspective. You need a new heart. You have been a student of the Word for 20 years. It is time to become a servant of the Lord for 20 minutes. It is possible to know the book and miss the author. It is possible to know the way and never take a step. Number 7, your hunger is not a sign of distance. It is a divine invitation to go deeper. Let's be honest about your emptiness. It is not a sign that you have failed. It is a sign that you have arrived. You have read the books. You have attended the meetings. You have done the work. But the feeling of more will not go away. You think you are losing your faith. You think you are drifting. You feel a hollow space in your chest that information cannot reach. You look at your shelf of trophies and titles. None of them provide the peace you crave. But you have not yet entered the land. You are like a person who has mastered the map. You are tired of the tour. You want the territory. You are tired of hearing about the king. You want to see the king. Think about your daily routine. You wake up and reach for a devotional. You finish it in 5 minutes. You feel a small spark. But by 10 in the morning, that spark is gone. You go to a Bible study and talk about the text. You walk out and realize you didn't actually talk to God. You just talked about him. You are surviving on spiritual snacks. Your soul is designed for a feast. You have been trying to fill a canyon with pebbles. Every book you buy is another pebble. Every sermon you hear is another pebble. They are good things, but they are too small for the hole in your heart. You are not broken. You are just hungry for the source. Maybe that is you. Psalm chapter 42, verse 7 says something critical. It says, "Deep calls to deep in the roar of your waterfalls." Did you catch that? Deep calls to deep. Your deep hunger is not a mistake. It is a response. It is a response to His deep presence. The emptiness you feel is actually a gift of capacity. God is stretching your soul. He is making room for something bigger than a book. He is making room for Himself. You are not empty because you are far away. You are empty because you are being called closer. Look at Moses. He was the leader of a nation. He had seen the plagues. He had seen the Red Sea part. He had the law written by the finger of God. Most people would have been satisfied with that level of experience. Most people would have retired on those stories. But Moses was different. He knew that knowing the works of God was not the same as knowing God. In Exodus chapter 33, he makes a bold request. He says, "Now show me your glory." He did not want more rules. He did not want more information about the land. He wanted the person. Moses moved his tent outside the camp. He went to a place of silence. He left the noise of the crowd. He left the expectations of the people. He sought the presence for the sake of the presence. He realized that the books and the miracles were just signposts. They were pointing to a face. Your emptiness is that same signpost. It is telling you that the shallow end is no longer enough. It is telling you that the conferences have served their purpose. They brought you to the edge of the water. Now, you have to jump in. This does not mean your study has been wasted. It means your study has finally reached its goal. The goal was to make you hungry enough to stop reading and start walking. You can spend the rest of your life collecting maps. You can stay on the shore and talk about the ocean. Or you can leave the shore behind. You can trade your notebooks for a real conversation. You can trade your podcasts for the voice of the Spirit. The emptiness is not a punishment. It is an invitation. It is God telling you that you are ready for the real thing. The books told you where to look. The Spirit is telling you to come. You have spent years gathering the pieces of a puzzle. You have the edges and the colors. You have the history and the facts. But a puzzle is not a picture until it is assembled. You have been a student of the Word. It is time to become a servant of the Lord. You were never meant to be defined by how much you know. You were meant to be refined by who you follow. I am talking to the person with the stacked notebooks. I am speaking to the one who feels like a spiritual fraud. You have the highlights in your Bible, but no peace in your soul. You think God is disappointed in your emptiness. He is not. He is waiting in it. He removed the noise so you would finally look up. He let the books fail so He could succeed. You are not losing your faith. You are outgrowing your religion. You are moving from the crowd to the Creator. You are empty because you have replaced intimacy with activity. You have plenty of information, but you are starving for a person. This is your central truth. You do not need more content to fill you. You need a Christ to transform you. You have been seeking a breakthrough to fix your life. God is seeking your life to give you Himself. Today, not Sunday. Today, I have a challenge for you. Close the book. Put your phone in another room. Do not look for a new sermon or a fresh quote. Go into a quiet place and sit. Do not ask for a miracle. Do not ask for a sign. Just say His name and wait. Tell Him you are tired of the search. Tell Him you just want Him. He has not moved. He is right there, and He wants you closer than you have ever been. Stop being a tourist in the kingdom. Start being a child in the house. The search is over. The Father is home.